Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joey Galvez, one half of your host of Explain Yourself, and I want to let you guys know about a really cool book from our friend of the show, Eli Shockey. This one is called The Greylock, and it's a story where magic is a commodity. Potions are sold at corner stores. Orcs and dwarves earn a living in cubicles, not on the battlefields. But there are those who resist the house's magic's laws. Branded a criminal and forced to live as a wand for hire, there is a spell slinger they call the Greylock. Check this one out. You guys can pre-order issue 3 right now with code JAN241939, and make sure you guys are heading over to your favorite LCS and letting them know that you want Greylock number 3, and maybe pick up the first 2 issues. You could do that at the Scout web store. So make sure you guys are grabbing the Greylock number 3, JAN241939 at previewsworld.com.
Okay, everybody. I have something really cool to tell you about. If you haven't heard yet about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain here. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one single place. Now, the way that you can do this is you got to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, and then you can get started. It's really fun. We just switched over recently here at All Too Real 2, and I'm enjoying it so far. So be sure to check it out and let us know what you think. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the All Too Real 2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is my lovely and beautiful co-host, Matthew Haas.
Thank you. It's a very nice compliment.
Yeah, no problem. So, we're going to continue down the mountain of wonderful films that were direct-to-video sequels. This one, however, is a direct-to-video sequel to a film most people probably have never seen.
The original is also a direct-to-video. So.
Yes. So, Matt brought this one to my attention. Years ago, he and I watched this movie called The ButterCream Gang, which came out in 1992 from Feature Films for Families or something like that. It's a religious-based film company. And so, in this movie, the ButterCream Gang returns. Here's the title: The ButterCream Gang in Secret of Treasure Mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the.
No, there's no the in there at all, except for at the very beginning. The ButterCream Gang.
Yeah, that needed the, but not the
secret of.
Yeah.
The Treasure Mountain. I don't know. Anyways, so basically, here is the description on FamilyDVDonline.com, the official website where you can purchase this film, which is actually currently out of stock, though. It's out of stock. I'm going to repeat that again. This movie is out of stock. Okay, but for all of our fans out there, if you have just started listening to this and you have not yet seen the ButterCream Gang in Secret of Treasure Mountain, you can watch it for free currently on YouTube.
And also the first one.
And the first one as well. So you might want to catch up on those before you listen to this. I'm hoping they're still there. Who knows when you listen to this. If you're listening to this in the future, they might not be there anymore because YouTube sucks sometimes.
Yeah. But so far they've allowed it to stay up there, so we'll see.
And but this is the description on the official website. Eldon Flowers wants to be a hero. When he discovers part of an ancient Spanish treasure map, his imagination runs wild. Not only could he be rich, he could also help an elderly man who is about to lose his home. In his search for treasure, he discovers much more than gold and begins to understand what being a hero really means. Okay, so that's the...
That's a very churched up description of what both
happened.
of us watched.
Yes. I discovered another website, too. If you're familiar with the Internet Movie Database, you may want to look into this new website I discovered. It's called ChristianFilmDatabase.com. And they've got reviews of this film and other things and all the information that you would find on the Internet Movie Database, but all Christianized. Is that a word?
Christianized? Yeah, I think
yes,
so.
Yes, okay. Anyways, so this movie, it stars the wonderful actor Brandon Blazer, who has an awesome name, as Eldon Flowers, which is not an awesome name.
No.
He was in the first movie, which everybody knows because everybody's seen the ButterCream Gang.
Yeah.
It's, quite possibly the ButterCream Gang of movies. Oh, wait.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
The ButterCream Gang is the ButterCream Gang of movies. Okay.
Yes. Much like, I don't know.
Much like how Abed called Britta a flavor kind of flavor.
Yes.
In Community.
Okay, so, yeah.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, just like
kinda
walk us through this movie here, Matthew, while I I don't know, go cry.
Okay, so excuse me, I'm gonna need to clear my throat for this one because this one was, I've got a lot to say even though I'm kind of speechless. So
yeah, we just watched this too right before we started recording. Normally we watch it the night before or something, but this time we actually watched it together. So this was fun.
We both kept putting it off because we knew it was going to be terrible. So what happens is that it starts off with some cheesy harmonica, acoustic guitar kind of music, and then it goes into, I think, like the year 1562 or something like that, when the conquistadors were taking over this part of America, and there was like an exhibition. I guess that maybe the King of Spain had commissioned or something like that, and the one guy's found a treasure, and they made a map for the treasure, and he decided to cut it into 3 different parts and to store one somewhere and then keep one to himself, and then the third part, I don't even remember what happened to the third one.
But don't forget, before they did that, they encountered a Native American.
Oh yeah, they encountered the native because the natives were fighting back. Obviously,
yes, and it was played by the wonderful Don Shanks, who is known for playing Native Americans in a lot of movies, including Dumb and Dumber. And he did stunts for High School Musical 3. But the most important thing that he ever did was he played Michael Myers in Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers. I just wanted to point that out. That's all. Okay.
And it's this guy who has no lines, and you could barely even see his face except for like one scene. And so the one guy's
probably the most prolific actor in the film.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Even though he only had that one scene, but one of the guys is going to shoot him, and then they say don't do it because they'll have a war basically against the entire tribe or nation.
Yeah.
So they let him go because of that. Because they only have like 3 guys left from their entire whatever squadron, whatever you call it, and that's when they go into the cave, and there's this guy in the cave who's like a monk, I guess, and he's like the really like religious one that like believes in the their mission type thing, and like the one guy is like in it for the greed for the treasure, so it becomes this whole classic battle of like, what is the definition of a treasure? Is a treasure really about gold, or is the treasure about what's inside your heart? It's like, by definition, treasure is gold. So you can metaphoricalize. It's not even a word, but you can metaphoricalize anything you want. Treasure's gold. In the story. And so
yes.
So the guy cuts the map into 3 parts, and then he makes his goons take a vow that their descendants will always serve his descendants, which apparently has been going on for 400 years without any break ever happening. And by the way, their Spanish is absolutely horrendous. And at one point in the scene, the kid who plays Eldon speaks better Spanish than the people who are supposed to be Spanish in this movie.
Well, the fact that, I'm not saying I don't know what their background is, the actors that played these these Spanish guys.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that the guy who played the main, bad guy, also because that's the thing, they play 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
So they play the ones in the 1500s and the current day ancestors of these people. And the guy that played Dr. Thomas Almodovar. Yeah, you can tell I can speak Spanish well too. Anyways, it's played by a guy named Rick Macy, which is the most Spanish sounding name I've ever heard in my life. Pretty sure Macy's like an Irish name or something. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I think of the store, Macy's Parade. So,
I think of that, or William H. Macy. I don't know.
There you go.
But it's I don't know. And he's done a lot of movies though, actually. So
he seems familiar. I think I've
seen him in other things. He was still acting as of last year. So he was nothing like that jumps out at me like a bunch of like mainly like direct-to-video movies and stuff like that. And he was on the TV series Everwood in an episode. He was, I don't know. The last thing he did was a movie last year called An Hour Behind. But so anyways, back to the story here, Matthew.
Okay, well, it then like jump cuts really badly, by the way, into the present, almost like jarring. But again, we're talking about people that I don't think they're doing anything intentionally in this movie. So anything that might seem cool is probably an accident. So
just to clarify, that is not a jump cut.
Oh, it's not a jump cut?
A jump cut would be where you're in the same shot and you just jump forward like into that scene.
Into like
you're in the same shot and like somebody's standing one way and
okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying for our film fans out there.
So what would it be called then when it jumps right into?
That's just a transition.
Okay, well,
it's harsh. A horrible, harsh transition.
Yeah, very harsh transition because immediately Eldon is screaming as he's on like one of those tires in the water because there's like jet skis or whatever. Or
yeah,
boat.
But it cuts from like the Native American.
Oh, that's
they
right.
randomly cut to, and he starts doing his generic Native American rambling,
okay.
Yelling, and then that yelling turns into Eldon yelling.
Okay, yeah, that's right, because he had a scratch on his face, and then
so was it Eldon or was it one of the other?
No,
kids?
I think it was Eldon. Okay. I don't know, who cares? But it was one of them, and they're like doing the whole tire, water tire thing with like a boat, speedboat or whatever on the lake because they're like having some, trip to this, whatever mountain area or whatever, and Eldon is already exhibiting signs of jealousy against his best friend Scott, or because the ButterCream Gang is supposed to be about doing good deeds for people. That's why they're a gang. I mean, they don't do anything violent. They pretty much just do good deeds for people. They raise money or they cut grass for people that can't cut grass, and things like stuff you'll learn in the first movie if you watch that one. And And in the first movie,
which we highly recommend.
We do highly recommend you watching both movies, preferably all at the same, one after the other, just to get it over with. But kind of like getting the shot or flu shot or whatever. Just kind of just do it, get over with it. And in the first movie, Scott has to save their best friend Pete from the brink of self-destruction because he was the leader of the ButterCream Gang, or the founder, and then he had to move to Chicago to live with his aunt to sort of take care of her kids, I guess, because I guess her husband died or something like that, and she couldn't look after all of the kids at the same time, so they just sent her nephew to live there. I don't know. And then he joined one of the biggest, baddest gangs of Chicago shortly thereafter, got into all kinds of mean, crazy things. And you could tell that he was a badass because when he got back home, one of the first things he did was steal a Pop-Tart from the department store. That's, when I think of like really bad gangs from Chicago, I'm thinking Pop-Tart stealers, I
mean, that's what's always, leading the headlines. And, I've watched, WGN News and stuff. Mm-hmm. And every day they're like, there's another Pop-Tart, robbery going on right now as we speak. Somebody stole strawberry frosted Pop-Tarts.
I think it was actually strawberry too in the movie. That's messed up.
Ooh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think it was.
That's just my favorite flavor.
Yeah,
so,
mine too. Frosted too. None of this bullshit of not frosted. Come on.
Why would you get?
It's like,
why would you get a Pop-Tart that's not frosted?
We already know that we're eating something unhealthy. Having it unfrosted
it's part of a balanced breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Pop-Tarts, are great. Kellogg's, when Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're so amazing that if they would love to sponsor this, podcast, they're more than welcome to. I mean, my personal email is mike@cullenpark.com. If you would like to, find out more information about that and find out what my favorite Pop-Tart is, I already told you though, but if you remember, send me that in an email. Yes. I'm going to get a lot of emails.
That was a good I like that. That was really professional.
Yes, Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts. Really good. So I like strawberry frosted, and that's probably my favorite. Also, the s'mores frosted as well.
And the chocolate frosted are good too.
Those. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry for Pop-Tarts. I'm going to go buy a Pop-Tart later. Or a pack of Pop-Tarts or whatever.
I don't think I have any Pop-Tarts in my cupboard. I normally do.
That's sad.
Yeah.
We should both stock up on Pop-Tarts because they're so lovely, and Kellogg's is such a great company.
Yes, I love Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
If you would like to sponsor us, Pop-Tarts, please feel free to contact us.
All right. Sorry to bother you with all that. So, in the first movie, he exhibits his gangster ways by stealing a pack of Pop-Tarts at a store that he used to work at. By the way, when he worked at the store, I don't think he ever got paid. So technically, he's just taking what was due to him in wages. But whatever. So technically, if anything, the store owner was stealing from him for years. But okay.
Yeah.
So if anything, he's actually not a thief.
Was this Mr. Graff? Or
I think it was Mr. Graff with the beard. Now he doesn't have a beard and he looks really weird in part 2. But anyway, so Pete is he's basically having this bad time where he's becoming a bad guy, and Scott mainly throughout the first film has to save his soul basically. The other kids were involved, but he was mainly the hero. So that jumps right into part 2, where Eldon is seeing Scott continue to be the hero, and he wants to finally feel like a hero for a change. And then Scott,
and yet the we never find out what happened to this Pop-Tart stealing kid.
Yeah, Pete.
Yeah,
Pete got saved, and he went on to live a good life, and he even went on to be an advocate for remove kids from joining gangs and all this kind of stuff, and then he's just dropped off the face of the
maybe he's just against gangs in general, including the ButterCream Gang.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. He does no gangs, not even good ones. Okay, so he apparently he's even against like the Black Panthers free breakfast programs. Like, nope, no breakfast for kids. Everything's bad. But and the Black Panthers weren't a gang. But anyway, I'm going off topic here. But so So Scott's the hero again, and Eldon is, he's clearly showing signs that he doesn't like this. I mean, at one point when he thinks that he found some treasure, it turns out that it was just a bottle cap to a bottle of beer that was in Spanish. By the way, when they think it's a beer cap, all of the kids shout in unison, "A beer cap!" Like that's some really weird thing, which leads me to believe they're part of a Christian cult that doesn't believe in drinking beer.
Well, of course they are.
I don't drink, but whatever. It's just a weird kind of reaction to have about that.
Oh yeah.
And so Scott finds an even greater treasure, and everyone's jumping up in joy for that. And then Eldon just walks away, literally just walks away from the scene. And then Scott's girlfriend, I think it's his girlfriend, I don't know, whatever. And it's implied that she is. And she says something really weird to Eldon when he's saying that he wants to be a hero for a change. And mind you, Scott, her boyfriend, is the one that's always visibly the hero. She tells Eldon the real hero is the person that does things and nobody knows that they do them. So ipso facto, she's saying that her own boyfriend is not a hero. I mean, that's the only logical way to.
Part of me wants to think that in the future, Eldon and her end up together.
But we never know because they didn't make any.
Yeah, no, this isn't one of the movies that ends in a kiss.
No. Well, it doesn't end in a kiss, but there is a kiss in there that's very creepy. But anyway,
yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in a little bit because apparently people just don't know the boundaries. But okay, so this scene happens and he's sulking, and then they find he's trying to climb up this not really a mountain, but it's like a I don't know what you call it, some kind of
molehill. No, I'm joking. No,
yeah, a mountain on a molehill. He's climbing up some steep structure, and then he almost falls off, and he ends up holding on to some stick, and then that turns out to be the container of part of the map.
Yeah,
somehow just sitting there. The whole
it was
time.
Just sitting in the side of a
whole time
mountain.
For 400 years.
Yes,
no one found it but him. Okay, and so they're like, what's this here? And they open up. Oh my God, it's a map. Blah 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 blah. Might be to a treasure. So then that starts his whole treasure hunt that he's gonna save Mr. Graff's house from being sold. By the way, so that brings us to the whole kiss thing. So just really smarmy capitalist dude who wrote this book about how to be a millionaire overnight with no money down in real estate. I think that was the entire title of the book. And for $49.95 in 1993. Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you do an inflation? You want to do an inflation?
Yeah, I'll check on that. I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. They'll continue about that scene.
Yeah, and Mike's going to look up the inflation rate from that. By the way, the book was only about maybe 200 pages at most. That's what it looked like. Okay, so this guy and his wife come in their car. They're supposed to be from the city, and I guess they were trying to show how rich they are. The car didn't even seem like it was really that great of a car, but whatever. And I think there was a very low budget for this film. We'll talk about some other reasons why we think that later on. But she's really weird. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's really talkative, but all she says is the word cute. And she's really, really, really emotional about this house for some reason. And he, of course, just wants to make money of it. But anyway, so then she gets to the kids and she's like, "Oh, aren't you cute? Aren't you cute? Aren't you cute?" And then as soon as she gets to Eldon, she's like, "Oh, hey, big boy." And then she just plants a kiss on his cheek. And it's it was very forceful. And it's and they're all like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she kissed you." It's this is creepy. This is a 40-year-old woman that just planted a really strong wet kiss on a 13-year-old kid's mouth after calling him big boy. Really,
I'm pretty
creepy.
sure that's sexual harassment.
It is. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, regardless of what hormones might be surging through a boy's body at that time, it's weird. It's
So this movie was made in 1993. $49.95 in 2017 money, because that's the closest I can get.
Okay.
Is $86.02.
Okay, so
it's almost twice as much. Not quite, but a little bit.
a book that would cost $86 in today's cash that at most is maybe $200, and it's supposed to tell
200
you
pages. Yeah,
200 pages, and it's supposed to tell you everything you need to know to become a millionaire overnight through real estate overnight. 200 pages. That's what you need to know. So,
well, it's like The Art of the Deal, the Donald Trump book.
Yeah.
Which you can now currently get for $1.99 on BarnesandNoble.com. And I just had to look that up. So
no thanks.
Yeah, and I don't know.
So I'll try to speed this up a little bit
Yeah.
for you. So that gives him the idea that he's going to try to find his treasure to save, Mr. Graff's house from being sold. And, the theory is that it's a lot of gold, so it's going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, in today's value. And then lo and behold, when they go to visit their guidance counselor, who knows what he is, he's a science teacher at the school, and then this Spanish guy,
he's one of their uncle. I mean, they called him Uncle whatever at one point.
So it's I think it's Eldon's uncle, actually. So
because in the credits he's credited as Uncle Will Duncan.
Okay.
So I don't know whose last name is Duncan, but then again, none of my uncles have the same last name as me,
right.
So it could be. Yeah.
So the Spanish guy shows up and played by the same actor that played the first guy, and then his goons are also played by the same actors, and they are the descendants of the people that swore an oath to serve his family until he finds the treasure.
Yeah, and I just want to point out there's one chubbier guy of those two who's eating all the time.
Yeah, every single fucking scene he's eating something.
And the name of the characters, and I'm thinking that the current character that he plays, because his name is, he plays a character named Romero, which I'm assuming is the character that he played in the beginning of the movie. But his current character's name, want to guess what it is?
I don't know. What?
In the credits, it's Mugfat.
Mugfat.
Mugfat. Mugfat.
Okay.
Yeah, and his buddy goes by Maggot.
What in the living hell?
Mugfat and Maggot.
Wow.
And when they were, and the funny thing, the thing I find really funny is, in the past, their characters' names were Romero and Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
Cesar Romero is the actor known for playing the Joker in the 60s Batman series. I don't know if that's a coincidence or if that was on purpose, but we'll see. Okay.
Like anything in this movie is probably accidental.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of jumping around here, but you want to talk about the whole clothing issue?
Okay. Throughout this movie, we see people wearing different clothing with like sports teams on it. Like this one kid throughout the movie. This takes place in Elkridge, and I'm assuming this is somewhere out west, because with the mountain landscape and things of that. I'm thinking like Arizona, Utah, California, somewhere out that way. They don't really say. I don't know where Elkridge is. I've never heard of Elkridge. It could be a fictional town. It could be a real town. I don't know. But anyways, the one kid's wearing a like Baltimore Orioles hat throughout the movie, then like people are wearing, and then that same kid later is wearing a University of Notre Dame sweater or sweatshirt or whatever you want to call it. And also, at one point, this priest in there is wearing a Yankees cap. Another character at one point is wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers hat. I think it's Mugfat who's wearing that at one point.
Yeah.
And there's at this one point where they're going off to look for the treasure. And this is completely coincidental, I'm sure. But it was interesting that what's the main kid from the first movie's name? Scott, yeah. Scott is wearing a San Francisco 49ers hat, which is funny because, the 49ers were the people that went out there for the gold rush in 1849 or whatever. And yeah, so I just wonder if that was on purpose or coincidental, much like the Cesar Romero thing. I don't know. I'm assuming everything in this movie was just accidental.
It is. Sometimes you get lucky. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. So what else happened in the plot here?
Let's see if I can remember. So,
Oh yeah. Towards the beginning of the movie too, there's a character that disappeared. Did we talk about him at all?
You called the mustache.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Dude.
There's a guy when they're first, when they first find the treasure map and stuff like that. This guy who's got like a porn mustache and everything, and he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and a baseball cap and everything. And it's like a store bought Magnum PI, basically.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that he would be more important.
Yeah,
to the story.
me too.
But he just disappears.
He's there for like the beginning of the whole treasure thing. Like he was there when they found the map, and then all of a sudden he's just gone. So I can only assume that maybe the Spanish guy killed him or something like that. I don't know.
He appeared later at the end of the movie. I see him in one shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, he must have been shooting pornos at different. He had to leave for a while,
or he had to go off to, I don't know, be Tom Selleck's stunt double. Yeah, I don't know. Hi, folks. This is Michael Lee Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
manager Matthew Haas.
You got promoted?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay, anyways, folks, do you like the show Superstore? Well, I don't know. I asked the folks and nobody's answering me.
Because they're not here.
Oh,
but we love
damn it. Yeah, we love it, though. Okay, folks, if you like it as much as we do, you're really going to like the Superstory podcast, which is a podcast where Matthew and I go episode by episode and give our little opinions and thoughts on it. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Just depends on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And, so if you like this podcast and like our little crazy banter,
then you should definitely check this out. Or I might get sad. And when I get sad, it gets pretty sad.
yeah,
So
I can't deal with him when he's sad.
no one can really. So
Yeah. So check out Superstory Podcast right here where you get this podcast, Superstory Podcast.
A respectable minister takes charge and leads head on.
Minister Dobble Trike may be the foremost politician of textiles.
As a minister, I have the utmost sensitivity to these situations, and if anyone's sensibilities were harmed, I would have sensed it.
But his petty ambitions will almost certainly lead us to unknown danger.
How dare you, sir! Unknown danger has its potential for profit. It's exotic.
You can hear Minister Trike and his antics in the radio comedy Magus Elgar.
Visit MagusElgar.com to download your copy today.
So I'm trying to remember the whole plot. So he finds this monastery somehow. I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff. He finds
It's okay. I don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter. Eldon finds this monastery where he thinks that he's going to find more information on the treasure, and he meets this monk who's like really, really nice to all the kids. I mean, he's like chopping bread for them, giving them jam, milk, all kinds of food, soup, and he's all the while he's basically dispensing all of this like Christian monastic wisdom that goes completely over their fucking heads because they're idiot kids, and talking about the treasure being within your hearts and what good intentions mean and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, I'm just not gonna give up. I'm gonna find that treasure. Fucking moron. And so they leave his home completely missing the point of everything he told them and taking everything literally, which of course this is often a community that tends to take things very straightforward, like look to the light. It doesn't mean anything like look to the light of your knowledge. No, an actual light. Anyway, so we'll get into that later if I even remember what happens. And then just as they're about to leave, they go into a different room, I think, because they're trying to look for something else. And then the Spanish guy's goons, break in there. Somehow they're both wearing monastic robes. Not sure how they got access to them, but they were wearing them. And of course the guy, I think magically at this time he wasn't eating food, but he was about to because the guy offered them crumpets. Would you care for a crumpet? And the guy,
when I think monasteries, I think crumpets.
I mean, that's what I think too. But interestingly enough, so this guy's supposed to be like the fat guy who just likes to eat type of thing, whatever. And so,
by the way, we might as well give credit where credit is due. The actor's name is Frank Garish.
Okay, Frank Garish. And throughout the movie, he's usually eating like junk food, like Twinkie or whatever. But in this scene, I guess he's hungering for fruit because instead of taking the crumpet, he goes grabs a piece of fruit, which is kind of weird because usually if you're trying to drive home the point, you're like, oh, you get this guy's a sloth and he eats all the time. You usually are assuming junk food, not actually healthy food. But then again, since this is feature films for families, they're probably trying to push home the point of eating healthy.
And I'm looking it up. Frank Garish has appeared in over 100 feature films and documentaries and television series. He's got 138 credits on IMDb.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is one of them, unfortunately.
Yes.
And so they tie.
He's actually even been in Superstore.
What?
Yeah, he was in a episode. He played a customer in an episode called Aftermath, which was in 2018.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I just noticed that on his
we have
credits.
the podcast Super Story, so now we can actually tie this in.
Yeah, when we get to that episode, which will probably be quite a while away, but still, when we do that, yeah.
Wow. So they tied them up in this very cartoonish way. It's just like a piece of string tied to all three people, and like their hands are tied like extremely loose. And they still can't seem to untie themselves without the rest of the kids finding the monastery and coming to save them. By the way, apparently the bad guy decided to leave the door unlocked so anyone could just walk in afterwards. So that's always clever, I guess. And they found their way in and they untied them in this fairly easily untieable situation. And then now is the time to do the real search. I know I missed like a million points, whatever. And then,
like I said again, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And so Eldon is going to go alone, he thinks, to find the treasure, but then his friends show up at the last minute to help him, of course. And then they find this, they find a, treasure chest, but then there's nothing in it. And then the guy shows up and he opens the thing. He gets all pissed off and starts throwing things around because there's nothing in the treasure chest. So then he's about to hit the kid. So now we got child abuse in two forms in this movie. We got sexual child abuse from the woman planting kiss, calling the kid big boy. And now we got this guy about to hit a child. And then the guy who eats food all the time holds his arm, doesn't let him punch the kid, and then says that their family's debt is now paid to him because he found the treasure, so they don't need to serve his family anymore.
What made them think they had to in the first place is beyond
It's
me.
beyond me. It really is. I mean, I can understand like the first few generations, but after 400 years, I mean, it just seems a little bit...
I mean, guess they have a better family history. I mean, I don't even know beyond two generations the name of any of... I mean, I don't know the name of my great-great-grandfather. You know, I know the name of my great-grandfather, but beyond that, I don't know.
I'm at a loss, too. I mean, I've heard so many stories from people, saying that they came from this part of the country, and another person says they came from the complete opposite side of the country. So it's kind of a, whatever. Yeah. And kind of a wide gap of like, oh yeah, they came from here, but oh no, they came like 5,000 miles away. Okay. And so, the guy leaves in a huff, and then his goons are like, that's their good deed or whatever, because, they saved, the kid or whatever. And he's like, no hard feelings. He's like, yeah, no hard feelings. It's like, how is it no hard feelings? They broke like numerous state and federal laws. They broke into a high school right there. That should get them in trouble, jail time at least.
Oh yeah.
They tried to steal something from said high school. Then they were chasing the kids that caught them and threatening to hurt them. So now we got, again, child abuse again. They should have been in jail.
But the thing is, I think these kids deserve it because, there's the one point where they're hiding dressed up like the American Gothic painting.
That's another scene. Oh my
in
God.
the background, they're at Mr. Graff's house helping him paint, and they're just standing there in the background, like wide open. They're literally randomly for no fucking reason whatsoever, dressed up like the American Gothic painting,
and they're just standing by the bushes right next to the house. They're literally right next to the house, and no one sees them.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, I'm not that observant of a person sometimes, but usually when someone's standing like 10 feet away from me, I notice it.
Especially them, because they look so weird. And okay, so then they do the stupid elevator trick where they crouch down. I'm like, come on, this is so campy and stupid, and it's not even funny. I mean, there's one thing to like do something and kind of wink at it, like, oh, you get it, we're doing that, we're making fun of the fact that we're doing it, but we're also making fun of the fact that we're doing it. But these guys were actually serious about it. Like, they thought this was funny.
I'm still not sure why they were dressed up like the American Gothic.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
There's so many
whatsoever.
references here that don't make any sense.
Because my thing is, if you're hiding in the bushes, wear some camouflage or something. Don't dress up like a fucking painting. It's like, I mean, it'd be like somebody standing in the corner, dressed up like, Edvard Munch's The Scream for no reason whatsoever, and trying to hide from me. Why are you dressed up like a popular painting?
Yeah,
I don't
there's no point to it. But that's the other thing. There's another thing that makes no sense when they make a reference to Paul Bunyan, and it has something to do about not using enough bug spray, and it's like, oh yeah, what do you think you are, Paul Bunyan? Like, what does Paul Bunyan ever have anything to say about bug spray?
Well,
ever?
Matthew, there's this little known story where Paul Bunyan and Babe the Ox, they're walking through the woods and, probably trampling on the woods because they're so huge. And there's these big bugs coming at them. And Paul Bunyan goes off to his chemistry lab and creates bug spray. I don't know if everybody knows that story.
I haven't heard that one before.
And then while he's creating the bug spray, there's these two guys watching him do it, and they're dressed up like the American Gothic painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it all ties together. That's where that came from.
Okay.
And then, and the whole time, Paul Bunyan keeps changing the baseball cap he's wearing to different random.
From the Dodgers to the 49ers to the Baltimore Orioles to.
Yeah.
We came up with a theory that they just went to a thrift store and just bought a bunch of clothes, and then they just wore that throughout the movie.
I'm sure they did. I mean,
It has to be.
a lot of low budget movies do that. I mean, movies I've made, we did that. I mean,
I think I could tell.
We'd go to thrift stores like when we made the movie Shelved, which I directed, which you can check out at cullenpark.com. Anyways, or shelvedevilelf.com. Anyway, in the movie we have a scene where there's like a picture replaced in the shot with a picture of Pope John Paul II. The only reason that picture's even in the movie is because we went to a thrift store and it just happened to be for sale for $1 at the thrift store. So we bought the thing and we wrote and my writer wrote it into the script. Lindsay LaForest, probably one of the best writers out there. Check her out. One Stop Late Productions. You can find them on Facebook and stuff. Anyways, okay.
Can I say how sad that is, though, that someone put that up for sale for $1?
I know.
That's like so sad.
Well, I mean, it was I'm sure somebody somebody probably donated it because it was like one of these charity-based ones that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a place called Savers. But I don't know.
Wow. And there was another line there that didn't make any sense either. I forgot what it was, but it was just so stupid. Like, what were they thinking when they wrote that? I think they got really tired and lazy, and they were just writing things down hoping that it would stick. Like if me and you were walking in like the sand, and then like we kicked the sand, and we're like, "Who do you think you are, Malcolm X?" Like, doesn't have to make any sense. Doesn't have to be relatable to anything. Just have a
somehow
list
that kind of makes more sense than the Paul Bunyan
thing.
It
does. Have a list of names on the board and just throw a dart at it. Okay, we're gonna Malcolm X. Fine, we'll just throw his name in there somewhere. Who cares? Oh, we got Che Guevara. Here we go.
Not to mention one of the added colorful kids in the group. Meaning like actually somebody of a different race.
Oh yeah, the one black person. They gotta have at least one.
They have one full black character, and then they have like a mixed character.
Oh, okay.
Eli.
Oh, that's right, Eli.
Eli, who I like to call Merriam-Webster.
Oh, yeah,
because anytime anybody says anything, and his vocabulary is like he gives the definition word for word of everything anytime anybody has a question. Like,
and he just knows it by heart. He doesn't have a book in front of him or anything.
No.
He just has it memorized.
I mean, I don't know. It's
smart kid. I mean,
I mean, I know in a movie that I I was in once. It was all improv, the whole movie, and we had a character similar to that in the movie, which made me laugh when I was watching this. It was basically just a friend of mine who was actually like that in real life. He's pretty smart, my friend Jack Warfield, and so he'll just like explain things to you all the time. And so in the movie, I just randomly started calling him Google. Because he like knew everything. Like you didn't need to look anything up. Jack just knew it. Wow. So yeah. Anyways, that's a little aside here.
A little trivia.
Yeah.
So we went on our own tangents here.
Yeah.
Which is actually really important because I think our tangents are better than the movie itself. So they find the treasure, the fake one. The guy leaves, and then Eldon remembers the guy telling him, and magically he just hears him physically, even though the guy's not there, and like this loud booming voice about looking towards the light and going higher. And of course, you're thinking throughout the whole movie, monks tend to be, monks are an interesting breed of religion. They're kind of higher minded people. They often speak in symbols, metaphors. They're very intellectual. They read a lot. So usually when they talk about stuff like light, treasure, it always has some kind of mystical or personal meaning. No, he meant a literal light that you have to look at. And then lo and behold, a light just appears at the higher point of the cave. Not sure who lit the candles, who knows. And he climbs up there and finds the real treasure. And lo and behold, this treasure is an actual treasure. Like thousands of gold coins. Each one's probably worth $1,000 at this point easily for how rare and old they are. But then somehow the bad guy shows up again even though he left. I'm not sure how he got back, but okay. And he's gonna, try to steal the treasure back from the kid. And then for no apparent reason, an avalanche happens at that exact point in time, just by sheer chance. And they're fighting over the treasure. The Spanish guy ends up losing his foot and ends up, hanging on to the edge of the landing. And then the kid's gonna try to save him, but the guy's so obsessed with his family's treasure that he demands that he saves the treasure instead of him. But then says we'll split it. But
I think he's thinking that he can save himself.
Oh, I
then
see.
He ends up
Okay.
starting slipping again, and then
and so that's when he saves him, and then the treasure
Yeah.
falls. And then again, mind you, there wasn't a very far fall. It was maybe like 20 feet, 30 feet. So my question is, they wouldn't be able to see this big treasure box just laying around somewhere with a bunch of coins strewn all over the place. They couldn't just retrieve any of it. I mean, I don't really understand.
I'm pretty sure ropes are available, and
It's 1993.
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember the 90s at all, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a weird decade. Anyway, no. I mean, the clothing was beautiful back then. I mean, like
those neon green shorts, man.
Yeah, that Eldon wears at the beginning of the movie. They're just, beautiful, man.
Those also scream thrift store to me. The shirt he was wearing was also a thrift store shirt. Like just a random logo, mismatched.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was just mismatched in this movie. Everything, the clothing, the lines, the people in them, the plot.
So as he's falling, though, Eldon does save him.
Yeah.
And then what happens, Matthew?
And then it goes back to the fucking scene where he's selling lemonade to try to make enough money so that
he decides to start selling lemonade again.
That's right. He did earlier, but he kept giving away for free because all of these brat kids were always giving them the sad eyes. I can't afford 25 cents.
Then he was distracted by the fact that a black girl was beating the white kid in a rollerblading race.
Was that what he was? Yeah, that's right. He was watching that.
And I'm just going to emphasize the fact that he was distracted by the fact that a black girl was beating a white boy.
I don't think he was. I think he was just.
I'm just saying. I think that was racist in the movie. I'm just getting at it.
I think he was just fantasizing about what he could have had. He was so mad at him. But yeah, it was probably the unconscious prejudice of the writers. We're talking about people that. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Anyways,
and you know what I'm talking about. But
we don't know the intentions of the writers.
We don't, but we do. And so he's just kind of like all despondent, and then so Mr. Graff comes to pay a quarter for his own house fund, and then he tries to give him this
which we all do.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And he tries to give him this whole feel good speech about, the fact that he tried and all this kind of stuff. And then and then the whole town shows up at once. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, they all show up in an "It's a Wonderful Life" sort of moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like the scene in "It's a Wonderful Life" where at the end of the movie where the whole town is like, here's some money and blah blah blah, and then every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. And anyways, the I don't know. And then all of a sudden, the bad guy, Dr. Almodovar or whatever his name is, comes up behind him and basically thanks him for saving his life and says, "Oh yeah, we're buddies now," or whatever, and not in those words, and then gives him the little bit of he had a little bit of gold that was passed on to his family from the original treasure, and he donates that to save Mr. Graff's house, and then
that's it, right?
Yeah, and at the end, you got to remember the last line of the movie. It's something about how he's like, "Oh, lots of treasure here, blah blah blah," and he's just like, "Oh, I've always realized that the treasure is inside my heart," or something.
Oh my god,
cheesy as fuck like that.
And then the guy, and then Mr. Graff says, "Oh, that's a lot of money to pay for a cup of glass of lemonade." And the guy says, "This is the best glass of lemonade I've ever tasted." It's like, really?
Yeah.
Come on, you fucking idiot! And so that's it. That's the whole movie. That's what we wasted an hour and 23 minutes on.
And here's a few little treasures about the movie. There's also a movie in 1956 called Secret of Treasure Mountain, which the basic plot of that is that 3 items combined will form a guide to locate a treasure.
And just like this movie, they got 3 parts.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, Trinity, 3.
Yeah.
3 groups of 3 always symbolize some kind of treasure or some kind of whatever. And then triangle.
And it also references Raiders of the Lost Ark, obviously.
Even the cover looks like...
Yeah, the collapse... It says here that the collapsing cavern after the treasure box is lifted from its resting place, the multiple-piece treasure map, a villain stealing the treasure right after the good guy finds it, similar flamboyant brown fading into yellow coloring font of the letters in the movie title on the tape and DVD case, plus sepia tone drawing with the hero positioned close up and in the middle and with his arms raised, etc. And then it also references Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. They're walking through ancient cobweb wreathed tunnels with haze and candles similar to accompanying sustained tone orchestral music during hidden chamber discovery sequences. An elderly monk finding an altar with a dead warrior on it, and the final part of the treasure map, the cave collapsing around the treasure seekers after the villain tries to steal the treasure, etc.
So that's like almost an exact ripoff of...
Yeah, I mean, basically, this is like the Christian kids version of Indiana Jones.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
This reminds me of, there is this, you know how you've been doing the research on like the history of video games and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there was a company back in the 80s called Wisdom Tree, and it was a Christian...
Oh, yeah, and they
would just make copycats of other games. Like, they made a complete copy of Zelda called Spiritual Warfare.
Yeah, but it was all like Christian-based...
You had to answer questions about like Bible verses or something. But then at the end of the game, the evil boss is a cigarette. Don't smoke, kids. That was the whole lesson. You got this great character in Zelda that you have to kill. No, in this game you kill a fucking cigarette, not a box, not a case of cigarettes, just one giant cigarette. And but they also made like other games that were like complete copies of they had a game, I forgot what it was, but I think it was almost like Mario, like almost like exactly like Mario.
I've seen some of these. They're crazy.
But yeah, and it was weird.
They got like some Noah's Ark games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
too,
they had a lot. They had these. They would often come in these like baby blue cartridges that just looked terrible, and they were like usually like a lot heavier. And it was because they weren't actually licensed by Nintendo.
But they would still play like in the NES.
Yeah, because back in the day, they couldn't figure out how to make it so you couldn't have cartridges like
Well,
nowadays you can't.
I know the original NES had a lockout chip where you couldn't play them in there unless you had that lockout chip in your cartridge. But
that was later on, yeah.
Yeah, well that was for the Nintendo Entertainment System for the original. Yeah, they had a lockout chip, but then like Tengen was able to copy it and make their own cartridges that weren't licensed by Nintendo. I know that, so I'm wondering if this company did the same thing.
I think they did, and so that's kind of interesting though, because this is a Christian video game company, and they're literally trying to find ways around
and they're
having to pay. So they're stealing other people's property. It's like that doesn't seem very
obviously
Christian.
Obviously they have no respect for art.
Yeah,
I mean, because video games are art, and
they are.
It's, yeah. So another interesting thing. Okay, I'm doing. I just typed in ButterCream Gang because I was looking for information about this movie and the other movie. Just doing some research the other day, and so I came up with an UrbanDictionary.com entry for this, and the top definition in there is ButterCream Gang, and it is when a group of people, usually underage, take part in an orgy in the whitest part of town.
That's very specific.
Yes, it is.
That's like extremely
and then
detailed.
the sentence that they have as an example there is, "Hey, let's put together a ButterCream Gang, one buttercreamer to another."
What? Why is it so specific? It's so weird.
I don't know. There's also a group called the ButterCream Gang. Is a group of YouTubers consisting of Joe Sugg, Casper Lee, Jack Maynard, Connor Maynard, and Josh Peters, Mikey Pierce, and Ali White. I don't know what they do, but that's the other definition on Urban Dictionary. But the sexual based one I don't get. It's very specific. But then again, I mean, most sexual things are very specific on Urban Dictionary.
Well, true, but this is really going for. I mean,
it might be just because,
and then it's an orgy, and then it's got to be in a certain part of town.
I'm just wondering. I'm curious if the movies influenced.
I think
this
they might have, because
they had
the whole churning butter thing. That's the other thing from the movie.
Yeah, that's where the name came from, is because centuries ago or whatever, there was some good teenagers in the town who were helping out women churn their butter
because all the men had died in battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Churn their butter.
And lest I say it again, all the men were dead, and there was only teenage boys left.
Well,
hey, folks, this is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
Matthew Haas.
We just wanted to tell you about our great podcast called Super. It's called All Too Real. And on that show, what do we do, Matt?
We watch biopics, and then we talk about whether or not the movie matched up with the real story or not.
So it
was a lot more exciting than that, though.
Yeah, so we analyze the real story and the real story.
Get it?
Get it?
Real.
Yeah, they're spelled differently, folks. You can guess which one I said which way. Anyways, so sometimes we have a guest, sometimes we don't. But we talk about great movies like Shattered Glass and The Social Network and Futile and Stupid Gesture, among others. Those are some of the ones that we've covered so far, and we're going to cover a lot more. So please subscribe on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your great, fun podcasts. And be sure to share it with your friends.
Do it.
And make sure you're not afraid to get all too real. Bye-bye.
Had to repopulate somehow. Anyways,
okay. I was gonna say, and so, by the way, am I shouting too much?
Oh no, you're good.
Am I?
You're good.
Am
Don't
I
worry.
speaking a normal tone here? Because I don't want to just be shouting throughout the whole podcast.
Yes, we're gonna have to re-record the whole thing.
We might have to.
No, I'm joking.
I don't want to. I'm gonna not do it because this movie is terrible. But anyway, would you recommend this movie to anyone ever?
That's a good question. I honestly do. Only in the fact that it is so bad. It's not something you should watch by yourself.
No.
And I'm glad I waited to watch it with you.
Yeah, me too.
As opposed to watching it last night by myself or something.
What a terrible night to have.
Yeah.
Just sitting there by yourself watching this. I mean,
yeah, if you're sitting alone at home watching either of the ButterCream Gang movies, get a Netflix account or something. Just do something.
By the way, so my friend Aaron came up with a great saying. He said, this, instead of Netflix and chill, this is YouTube and hang yourself or something like that. Because it's so terrible.
It is.
It's for free on YouTube. And by the way, when I say it's for free, YouTube itself did not upload this. I mean, some user uploaded this movie on their own account.
And the people at the films for family, I don't know, the feature films for families have not taken it down yet. So, if you happen to be listening to this podcast, the people at the feature films for families, just letting you know it's up there for free.
Yeah.
So you might want to contact YouTube. But
or not.
Please don't, though, because
leave it up there.
I think this needs to be seen by groups of people, future ButterCreamers, so the world.
Future and teams of people who are just teams who are not just a group of individuals.
Oh yeah, that was another line in the movie. They said
we're a team.
Great.
We're a team, not just a group of individuals.
Yeah, let's. Damn it! It's not in the quotes on the IMDb.
Okay.
I was hoping it would be, but yeah, The only quotes they have on there is a exchange between Eldon Flowers. I'm going to mention that name again. His name is Eldon Flowers.
Who came up with that name?
I don't know, but the kid's name in real life is Brandon Blazer. I'm like, that's an awesome name.
It's almost like
Brandon Blazer should be a superhero.
Yeah,
like
we should create a character. No one else. Don't even fucking try it. It's ours. And
but maybe we can get the real Brandon Blazer
and then play
the character.
This might actually be like this whole thing because remember
if you're listening, Brandon.
Yeah.
Which you might be, because if this comes up, this will probably be like one of the only podcasts out there about the ButterCream Gang.
Yeah. Well,
so you never know. That might be, but it might not be.
Two
but
or three.
I mean, there's millions upon millions of podcasts out there. But if you're listening to this, Brandon, contact us. I mean, we'd love to do an update on this. I mean, I'd love to interview you or something for the podcast or anything. Or I'm a filmmaker, so if you want to be in a movie, a
good one.
Yeah, a good one. Let me know, man.
Doesn't have to be all good deeds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It could be dark and whatever.
Or if you want to do a good, we can do ButterCream Gang Part 3.
Yeah, they would call it the. I don't even know what.
I don't know
something.
The middle-aged guys hanging out.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah, no, that's not a good title. The ButterCream Gang returns in.
There you go. Returns and the secret of the piece of shit. No.
The secret of middle age.
There we go.
ButterCream Gang returns and secret of middle age.
And,
not the secret of middle age, but
the
secret of middle age.
And the secret is that they can't eat butter anymore because they have too much high cholesterol.
Yeah, so. they go to the doctors and they're like, "I know you're a member of the ButterCream Gang,
but you can't.
But you really can't have any more buttercream.
You've had too much in your life. You have to stop now."
And what about butter beer? No.
So that's, I think, all we have to say about this film, if you want to call it that, and or unless you have more.
No, I don't.
What left is there to say?
What is there to say? I mean, I will tell you this: they were robbed that year at the Oscars.
Oh yeah. It was a total sham.
I mean,
By the way, I've got Turbulence 3 just sitting on that stool right there. That's another movie we're going to do one of these days.
Yeah, of course.
That movie is bad, and it's almost as bad as this movie.
I will tell you this, in 1993, Unforgiven won the Best Picture at the Oscars. The Clint Eastwood movie.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Western, you know. Now, convince me that that's a better movie than the ButterCream Gang
2 Secret, not The Secret.
No, Secret of Treasure Mountain.
You know, when you got a guy eating food every scene to drive home the point that he's fat, you know, because, you know, you can't. You know,
I mean, how does that beat, you know, Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman in a movie and stuff, you know, in a Western? No.
I mean, this movie took place in the West.
Yeah.
You know, so
I want to say that, you know, and I mean, why didn't Brandon Blazer win Best Actor, you know, instead of that year where Al Pacino won for Son of a Woman?
Right. I mean, with those neon green shorts and that white T-shirt with the faded logo.
Freaking Al Pacino played a blind dude who say hoo-ha.
Yeah, he's got a nice fancy car. Yeah. Ooh, blah, blah. Crap. Come on, stupid.
Yeah, no. That should have been Brandon Blazer. So, Brandon, I think you got robbed. If you're listening to this.
Yeah, and I think you have like possibly the coolest name of all time.
Yes.
Like, whoever your parents are, they're fucking rock stars for naming you that. Like,
yeah, I mean, I really hope that's your real name and like it wasn't like a stage name, because Brandon Blazer is like just awesome. And sadly, Brandon has not done any movies besides these two.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
2 ButterCream Gangs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't even have a trilogy. You know, at least make it a 3. Nope. No trilogy.
And I mean, we were just talking about Clint Eastwood, but the director of this movie, Scott Swafford, you know, he recently directed an episode of the TV series Web of Spies.
Okay.
You know, what has Clint Eastwood done since 1993?
Right. Well, a lot of things, but.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
You know, Gran Torino.
You know, probably a movie like every year.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's won several awards since then. Okay.
Yeah,
anyways, you know, yeah.
Bridges of Madison County. That was kind of a big deal for him because he usually did really gritty,
That's a
violent
good
movies.
movie.
And then he did this movie that was
a good movie.
Not violent whatsoever.
I cried at Bridges.
Really? I never watched
Anyways,
it.
okay.
I never read the book either. But not my style. But oh man.
Anyways, I think we should end now.
Yeah, I think we've been talking for like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Just remember that you know, ButterCreamers never give up. They never give up.
Nor should they.
No. Don't ever give up. I'm still waiting for ButterCream Gang 3.
We should make it. We should.
We should.
We should be the ones to make it. If we could actually do this, this would be the most hilarious thing ever.
If you're out there, Brandon Blazer, I want you to be the star, the hero of this one.
You could write the script with us and the plot and everything.
Yes.
Talk to us. This could be hilarious and awesome at the same time.
Please, Brandon Blazer, reach out to me. My email is mike@cullenpark.com. Also, if you were with the wonderful people at Kellogg's, please reach out to me there too as well, you know. Anyways, I guess that's all for the All Too Real 2 podcast tonight. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.